Everybody, welcome back to the Sunnydale Review. I'm Brian.
I'm Jillian.
Jillian, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing quite well. I'm excited, as always, to talk about some Buffy the Vampire Slayer. What episodes are we covering in this episode?
So today we are covering Season 3, Episodes 12 and 13, Helpless and The Zeppo.
All right. One of those I like a lot. One of those I like, but also makes me feel bad.
Yes.
So let's get into that one. Helpless.
That one is Helpless, Season 3, Episode 12, originally aired January 19th, 1999, written by David Fury and directed by James A. Cottner.
All right. So what happens?
So this episode opens up with a picnic set up in the mansion. Then Buffy and Angel crash in. They're clearly sparring, and Buffy stakes Angel with a baguette.
Just fun. Funny scene.
Yeah. She asks him if he's satisfied, and he says, "I'm not sure that's the word."
Oh boy.
So clearly they still have like major chemistry, and they're struggling with seeing each other, but not being able to like act on their desires and what they want to do.
Exactly.
But it's for the betterment of the world that they don't.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see. Angel asks if he's going to see Buffy this weekend. She reveals that it's her birthday. We know that Buffy birthdays tend to go very well.
Always.
Because her birthday in season 2, that was the Angel. That was the whole judge thing. The assembly of the judge and Angel almost leaving, and that's when he lost his soul.
Yeah.
So,
not good.
Let's see. Angel asks if she has a date, and she says, "Actually, I do have a date. Older man, very handsome, likes it when I call him daddy."
Oh, Buffy.
She was clearly messing with him, and so she has plans with her father. But yeah, I think it's fun watching Buffy mess with Angel.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
He like panics for a second, and then he's like, "Oh wait, your dad." She's like, "Yes." So we find out that her dad is supposed to be taking her to an ice show, and she's very excited about it. It's like a tradition of theirs. So let's see. Back at the library, Giles is teaching Buffy about the different types of vibrational stones and their uses.
Right.
They mentioned that Faith has gone MIA, and they're not sure where she went. So yeah, she kind of just tends to do that.
Yeah. It's Faith. What can you do?
So let's see. Out patrolling, Buffy is fighting a vampire and gets a sudden case of lightheadedness, and her strength disappears. The vampire almost stakes her with her own stake, but she headbutts him and ends up winning. But it was a very close call.
Yeah, this is concerning.
Yes. So let's see. The next day, Buffy is throwing knives horribly. None of her knives are sticking to the target, which is very unusual for her. She asks Giles what's wrong, and he suggests that maybe she's getting sick and should take a few days off until she regains her strength. Now, we know that Buffy doesn't get sick very often. They mentioned that back in, what was the one where she was in the hospital? Killed by Death.
Right. Yep.
So they mentioned back in Killed by Death that Slayers don't often get sick. Buffy doesn't usually get sick, so it's concerning for sure.
Yeah.
The gang wants to throw Buffy a party, and she thinks that they should forgo a party, considering they don't tend to go very well.
What?
Monsters appear, people die. It's kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Buffy returns home and finds flowers. Turns out they're from her dad. He's too busy at work to take time off for her birthday and to bring her to the ice show. He gives her the tickets. It's sad.
Yeah.
He's never around. So yeah. So she was really looking forward to it, and she's really bummed out.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Sunnydale, we see 3 men making renovations to a building. They mention it's something having to do with Buffy. That's really all we get at that point.
Right.
Back at the library, Buffy is trying to talk Giles into bringing her to the ice show. More evidence of his growing position as her father figure in her life. Giles changes the subject back to her crystal studies.
Yeah.
He brings out a blue crystal and tells her to focus on its inner flaw. She becomes hypnotized, and we see Giles take out drugs and inject Buffy with them.
Messed up.
So it's like,
it's really messed
Giles,
up. It makes you feel a way about Giles, honestly.
Yeah, it's so shady, and I just don't. It skews me out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's see. The next day, we see Cordelia talking to a guy. He becomes aggressive. He becomes aggressively physical with her. She tries to fight him off. Buffy tries to pull him away from Cordelia and is unable to, and he just like tosses her aside. So it's like, whoa, like she has no strength anymore. What happened?
Yeah. Sucks.
Yeah. Buffy runs to Giles again, afraid that her powers are gone. He tells her not to worry and promises her that they'll figure out what's going on with her powers. The next day, we see Giles talking to the men who were doing building renovations a few scenes earlier. They talk about a tradition that happens when the Slayer turns 18 as a rite of passage. Giles thinks that it's cruel to lock Buffy, weakened and defeatless, in a tomb with a monster. The man tells him that the exercise is a test of the Slayer's confidence, cunning, and imagination, and that Buffy will either win or she will die. Giles still has major concerns about the exercise, but the man tells him that he's too close with the Slayer.
Maybe this is why Slayers don't have a long life expectancy, because they do stupid shit like this.
Yeah.
Just putting it out there, Watchers Council.
I don't understand this exercise at all.
No.
And we'll get more into it, but it's just like, if you want to test the Slayer, why take away the thing that made her the Slayer? Like, the Slayer was given her powers so that she could fight demons. Why would you make her fight demons without them?
Right.
But yeah. We see the vampire that Buffy will be trapped with. He's clearly insane, kept in a locked box in a straitjacket, and is addicted to pills for some reason.
Yeah.
A few days later, he tricks one of his keepers into getting too close, and he ends up escaping.
Yes. Which is actually pretty smart, because he, like, turns him into a vampire, which is, like, pretty genius, honestly. So, points to this vampire, I guess.
The crazy, insane vampire.
Exactly. It's an insane plan that's just insane enough to work.
Ugh. I just think it's really weird that he's addicted to pills.
I think they're, like, psychotic pills, maybe, you know?
I don't know. Let's see. At the mansion, Buffy is talking to Angel about her fear of who she might become without her powers. She mentions that back before she had them, she was a worse version of herself, which we actually got to see in the flashback, we got to see part of that in a flashback in the 2-part finale of last season, where she was very, like, Cordelia-ish.
Yes.
And she actually, in this scene, compares herself to Cordelia. She's like, you know, let's just say, for example, I don't want to use names, but let's say that somebody named Spordelia would have looked like a classic philosopher next to me. Let's see. Angel confesses to having seen Buffy before she became the Slayer and says that he fell in love with her then because he could see her heart.
It's weird. Thanks, Angel.
Little bit. So let's see. That night, Giles goes back to the place where the vampire was being held, only to discover that he has killed his 2 keepers and escaped. Giles is actually so freaked out by the scene that he gets physically sick.
Yeah.
So yeah. Buffy is walking home when she gets confronted by the insane vampire who seems to have been able to track her down. Giles arrives at the last minute and saves her, picking her up in his car and driving back to the library. At the library, Giles reveals the whole plan, the reason behind Buffy's powers being gone, and the tradition of testing the Slayer if she turns 18. It's clear that Buffy feels completely betrayed by Giles drugging her, taking her powers, and going along with the test.
Yeah, understandably.
Yeah. It's... Giles doesn't agree with it, but he still did it.
Yeah.
I think we could just very succinctly chalk this up into the council is bad.
Yes.
Agreed. The Watchers Council sucks.
Yeah.
They treat their slayers like they're their playthings, and they have no rights as human beings. They're just a tool that they have access to.
Right.
Let's see. Cordelia arrives for some comedic lines. Buffy asks for a ride home, and Cordelia agrees to give Buffy a ride home. Which is very convenient that Cordelia showed up, considering that Buffy should not be walking home alone, and Buffy can't drive. So.
Yeah.
Let's see. Back at Buffy's house, the insane vampire lures Joyce out by pretending to be Buffy because he stole Buffy's jacket earlier. So he pretends to be Buffy and then grabs Joyce and kidnaps her. Buffy arrives home to find a note from the insane vampire saying that he has taken Joyce. She stocks up on weapons and heads to the building where he had been being held at the beginning of the episode, where this test was going to happen. Buffy arrives and is locked inside. We see that the insane vampire's plan is to turn Buffy into a vampire and then have her kill Joyce.
It's messed up. Very angel plan.
Clearly the way this test usually goes, the vampire is not let out until they want him to be. He doesn't kidnap a family member. It sounds more like the Slayer is just locked inside with him, so this is a whole other level.
Yeah.
Let's see. Giles and the old man that we had seen before, the guy from the council, have a conversation. Giles says the test is off since he told Buffy about it, but the old man informs him that Buffy has arrived at the trap and the test is still on. So even though she knows about it, they're still going to go through with it.
Right.
Buffy steals the insane vampire's pills, and a game of cat and mouse around the house begins.
Right.
They eventually end up in the basement with Joyce, where Buffy gives back the pills, but has booby-trapped the glass of water and replaced it with holy water. The vampire drinks it, and it burns him from the inside out, and he dies.
It's pretty great, honestly.
A very good test of Buffy's cunning and imagination.
Yeah, I know. I love that, the way she killed this vampire.
Yeah.
I thought it was dope.
But I mean, it's nothing that we wouldn't really expect from Buffy. She's always been very think out of the box. And, except for when she went to go take on the Bringers without bringing any weapons and just used an axe that she found. I have to say, that one, I'm like, Buffy.
Yeah, no.
You knew you were going after them. Why didn't you bring literally anything?
Right. Fair enough.
Let's see. While trying to rescue Joyce, Buffy is attacked by the Keeper, who was turned by the insane vampire earlier in the episode, but she is saved by Giles. Back at school, Buffy is congratulated by the old man in winning against the vampire and passing the test. Giles, however, failed by telling Buffy about the test and is released by the Watchers Council for caring too much about his slayer.
It seems weird, but yeah.
Yeah. I understand, the Watchers Council being you gotta keep, professional boundaries, but if the Watcher doesn't care about his slayer, I feel like it would make him work as hard to try to help her.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see. There's clearly been a rift in the relationship between Giles and Buffy due to the betrayal, but her allowing him to help take care of her cuts, after the whole ordeal, shows that she hasn't completely written him off. The episode ends with a comical scene of Xander trying to say that sometimes women just need a manly man around to help with stuff, and then he fails to open a jar of peanut butter, and he has to ask Willow for help.
Yeah.
So here I go. Passion of the Nerd, who I shout out in every episode because I love him and I watch his videos all the time. So he pointed out something really interesting that I just wanted to bring up. In the United States, a person's 18th birthday is like a major stepping stone into independence and adulthood. You're allowed to vote, get a tattoo, etc. The 18th birthday and the independence it signifies must be terrifying to the Watchers Council, who see the Slayer as their instrument and something to be controlled. Slayers are assigned to a Watcher at no real choice of their own. So the idea of them becoming an adult and having independence probably is seen as a problem, hence the reasoning for the test, to keep the Slayers young and controllable.
Right.
So I like this episode and I don't like this episode. I don't like Giles' betrayal of Buffy. I mean, I think that it has really interesting points and a really interesting way of how they go about this. I gotta give it like a 7. It's not one of my favorite go-to episodes.
Yeah, I do like it. I gave it a 7 as well. But I'll say why I did like it, because I think it's an important part of every hero's journey to prove to themselves and the audience, but mostly to themselves, that their powers aren't what make them a hero. You know, it's their you know, themselves. They're cunning, like they say in this episode, but like the people who have powers and then use the powers to go do good are heroes, not because of the powers, but because they're fighting to do good. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Which I like, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, 7s across the board for us. Now let's get into an episode that I love.
I love this episode too. It's so fun.
Yes.
So this is The Zeppo, Season 3, Episode 13, originally aired January 26th, 1999, written by Dan Weber and directed by James Whitmore Jr.
Yeah, so let's get into it.
Literally, my first note is, I love this episode.
Yeah. So good.
So the Scoobies plus Faith are fighting demons in a cave. Buffy and Faith are kicking butt. Giles is supervising. Willow helps with a spell to cause fog, which gives the Slayers the upper hand, and they slay the demons. Following that, the gang regroups, and Giles is talking about how bad he feels putting Willow and Xander in danger. Then they realize they can't find Xander. He emerges from a pile of trash.
Yes.
And he's like, hey, if anybody sees my spine laying around, try not to step on it.
Yeah, so obviously he wasn't much help in this fight.
No. His heart is in the right place. He's just, yeah. The next day at school, after failing to catch a football, it lands in the lunch of the school bully, who's Jack O'Toole. I don't know if he's like bully or bad boy. I'm not quite sure. He's like antisocial, like just, I don't know. He threatens to cut Xander's face off, but lets Xander go. Cordelia, who witnessed the whole thing, takes the opportunity to throw some additional insults at Xander and the Zeppo. It's a reference to something not having to do with the show. It's like a pop culture reference. Later that day in the library, Oz is getting locked up for one of his wolf nights, and Giles and Buffy are discussing the demons they slayed earlier in the episode. According to Giles, they are a sign of another apocalypse that's incoming. Apparently, those demons were planning to open the Hellmouth, and they suspect that there are more of them.
Yeah.
Xander determines that everyone in the group has a thing that they're good at or that makes them special. Giles has his watcher duties, Buffy and Faith have slaying, Willow has magic, and Oz has his inner wolf. Determined to find a way to fit in, but also be special, Giles borrows his uncle's car and decides to become car guy. Buffy asks him if the car is a penis metaphor. It totally is.
Yeah.
He just wants to have something that like makes him special and differentiates him from the group.
Right.
So let's see. Buffy talks to Xander and Willow about the incoming danger / apocalypse, and Xander asks how he can help. So they send him for donuts. Because he's car guy and he can go pick them up.
I mean, it's an important part. Got to get some food for everyone.
Yeah, brain food, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a pretty blonde girl at the place where he goes to get donuts who has a deep passion for cars and takes an interest in his car and starts asking him a bunch of questions. He has no answers because he just has the car. He doesn't really know about it.
Right.
Xander goes to the bronze with the girl and can't even pretend to be interested in her rambling about cars.
She is a gearhead. Straight up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Angel shows up looking for Buffy, and Xander takes the opportunity to try to get out of his date from hell. But Angel tells him to stay out of danger and goes to find Buffy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Xander tries to leave with the blonde and accidentally drives his car into Jack O'Toole's car.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate.
He admits that he doesn't have insurance, and Jack again threatens to cut off Xander's face with a sharp knife. This time actually running the knife across Xander's face. The cops show up, and Xander chooses not to get Jack in trouble. Jack is impressed and asks Xander for a ride to go get the boys. Xander is like, okay. Turns out the boys are two of Jack's friends who have died.
Yeah.
Jack brings them back to life with black magic.
As one does.
Yeah. Because what else are you going to do on a Friday night? Let's see. Back at the library, the Scoobies minus Xander are researching and discussing the coming apocalypse. Giles suggests sending Xander for more donuts, but Buffy puts her foot down.
Did he ever get the first donuts back to them?
No. I think so.
This is off screen.
At some point he must have ran by, because there's like a scene where Giles goes to get a donut.
Oh, right, yeah.
And there's no jellies left, and he wanted one. It's like, I always have the jelly. So let's see. Buffy puts her foot down. He almost got himself killed in the fight earlier in the episode, and she doesn't want him in danger again, which, I mean, that's fair. He's not a fighter.
Definitely is.
I don't know why they don't have him at the school helping with research.
Yeah.
Because that's what he usually does. But, yeah. Giles heads to the cemetery and tries to talk to the spirits for help, but they reject him. There, Xander also runs into Giles as he's there with Jack. Xander tries to convince Giles to bring him back to the group, but Giles refuses.
So I just don't want to be part of what's happening.
He's like, okay, I was in this date. It was horrible. Tried to get out of it. Couldn't get out of it. Then ended up in this thing with Jack, and he's raising people from the dead, and I want to get out of that. He's like, I'm having a bad night. Nobody wants me anywhere, and the places I am at, I don't want to be.
Right. And for the record, Michael Chudlitz, better known as Abraham from The Walking Dead, is one of the boys that gets resurrected. So, fun fact.
Which one?
He's the one in the varsity jacket, the redhead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was from Southland and the Pacific. He's a good actor. But, yeah. People might recognize him from that.
Let's see. Buffy tries to go beat Willie for information. He says that the apocalypse is happening tonight. Xander, now joined by Jack and his 3 dead friends, is driving them around. They decide they want to bake a cake, so they head to the hardware store.
Yeah.
There, they talk about initiating Xander into the group, which apparently means having to die and be brought back. We learn that Jack was killed a few weeks before and was brought back. We don't know by who.
Right.
Xander runs from the dead gang, which, like, understandable.
Yeah, gotta get out of there.
They're talking about killing you now.
Yeah.
As if this wasn't weird before.
And also, it's real gross, because it's not like you're brought back whole. You're, like, brought back as a decaying person.
Well, I think it was because of the point, like, how long they had been dead. So it looks like Jack wasn't dead for very long, which is why he can still pass as alive, unless he lifts up his shirt and you see, like, all the bullet holes or whatever.
Right.
Let's see. Xander drives around and runs into Faith, who is fighting two more of the demons they slayed earlier in the episode. He picks her up and they drive back to Faith's motel room. Faith is feeling some pent-up sexual tension, which there was a hint of this kind of when she was introduced, where like she's just a very sexual person, just overall. So she's got all this pent-up tension since she didn't get to actually slay the demons because Xander saved her. So she decides to take out that pent-up sexual aggression on Xander.
Yes.
She asks if he's up, and he mentions that he's never been up with people before.
Oh boy.
So they end up sleeping together, and then she tosses him out of the room as soon as she's done.
All right, thanks, bye. Oh man.
It's like he's like, what just happened?
Yeah, a lot of conflicting feelings about this.
Yeah. So Xander returns to his car and discovers the cake ingredients left in the back of his car. He determines that Jack and his gang weren't planning on making a cake. They were going to build a bomb.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
Yeah. So he decides to run and find Buffy and Angel at the mansion, and they're right in the middle of a incredibly melodramatic scene where Angel wants to help and protect Buffy from the apocalypse, and Buffy doesn't want Angel to get killed again. And Xander interrupts them, and like there's like so when Buffy and Angel are having this like very Angel dramatic conversation, there's all this dramatic music in the background, and then Xander comes in and interrupts them, and like the music drops.
It's amazing. I love this episode. There's another scene later that's just like even better. I love it.
Let's see. So Xander realizes that his problems aren't as big as the ones they're dealing with. He decides to leave and like not
involve them.
You know what? Never mind. As soon as he does, they get back to the scene and the dramatic music starts back up again. It's just like I really hope that was in the script.
Oh yeah.
Dramatic music ends. Let's see. Xander decides to try to figure out where Jack and his gang are building the bomb. He tracks them down and grabs one of them with the car still in motion. So he's like holding onto the guy while still driving.
Yep.
And he threatens to kill the guy that he grabbed if he doesn't tell them where they're building the bomb. He finds out they're targeting the high school, but then he's like asking him like, okay, how do I turn off the bomb or whatever, and then accidentally takes out the guy's head with a mailbox and he just falls off. And he's like, damn it. I feel like he says something about like, I talked for too long. I realize that now.
Yeah.
Let's see. He's able to find out the bomb is in the boiler room of the high school, but not how to disarm it. So at the high school, we see the apocalypse has truly arrived. There's a 3-headed demon coming out of the floor in the library, and Buffy, Giles, Willow, Angel, and Faith are all like looking at it terrified. Xander runs by the door and is chased by the 3 remaining dead guys.
There's tentacles. It's a whole thing happening in there.
Yeah. Let's see. The gang splits up to track down Xander. He takes out one by dropping a vending machine on him. Yep, Xander confronts the second one.
Chudlets.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Xander confronts the second one and starts quipping, but the zombie runs away before he's done. Demons that were attacking Faith earlier show up and take out the second zombie guy.
So they're helpful, ultimately.
Yeah. Let's see. Xander finally makes it to the boiler room with less than 2 minutes left on the bomb. He is confronted by Jack O'Toole, and they fight. Xander traps O'Toole in the room with him and ends up using his intellect to win the day, basically calling Jack's bluff out that he's not afraid to die. Jack says that he's already died, so he's not afraid to die again. Xander points out that being blown up isn't out drinking with your buddies dead. Yeah. It's little pieces being swept up by a janitor dead.
That's a good point.
Jack Yeah, it's like, dude, this is a bomb. You're gonna get blown up. There's no bringing you back from this. Jack decides with 2 seconds left on the clock to pull the plug and disarm the bomb. Xander walks away, quipping, I don't think I want to be seeing you around campus anymore, Jack. And then he leaves. Jack says he's not going anywhere and threatens, first time you turn your back. Then he opens the door to the basement, releasing Oz, who's a werewolf. Oz kills him.
Yeah, and eats him.
So, yeah.
Oh, man.
I love it when, like, the bad guys will be doing, like, a monologue thing, and they think that they're, like, you know, just quipping away or whatever, and then it's, like, comedic timing. Let's see. The next day, the rest of the Scoobies are discussing their evening of fighting and the massive demon and saving the world again. They all look bruised and beaten. Giles' hand is wrapped up. Buffy's arm is in a sling. They mention that Angel got knocked out, but he'll be okay. Buffy says that something Giles did was the bravest thing she's ever seen. We have no idea what it is. Xander walks up and Willow tells him that he's so lucky he wasn't at the school last night. Xander offers to get everyone a snack, and Oz says that he's oddly full.
Oh, man.
He doesn't remember what happens when he's a werewolf, so he doesn't know that he ate Jack. He probably would have felt bad if he did know, not knowing that Jack had already died and that Jack had just tried to blow up the school. Let's see. While walking away, Xander runs into Cordelia, who throws insults at him as usual, but he now has more confidence and just walks away and doesn't respond.
So good growth.
Yeah. Through this episode, Xander finds his thing. He doesn't need a car. He knows that he saved the school, and he doesn't feel the need to boast about it or get credit for it. He knows he's strong and has the power to make a difference without the rest of the Scoobies. His ability to speak to Jack's heart, to reason with him, and use that reason to convince Jack to do the right thing, really cements his place in the group.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So what?
I like this episode.
What's that?
I like this episode.
Yes, I do too. What'd you give it for a watch or pass and then a rating?
I gave it a watch. It's a fun Xander-centric episode, and we don't get those very often. Right. So it's just fun. But I gave it a rating of 8 steaks.
Yeah, I gave this a 9. I love this episode. This is one of my top favorite episodes of the whole show. It's so fun and just really well done. Like the scene, like you said, with Buffy and Angel are having their dramatic moment and Xander interrupts it. It's great. It's like no spoilers or anything about. Have you seen Endgame?
Yes.
It's like a Buffy version of Endgame.
Yeah.
You know, it's so meta and so wonderful, and I just love this episode, and everyone should watch it. And yeah. All right. So anything you'd like to add before we get out of here for this episode?
No, I'm really looking forward to the next episode. We're covering Bad Girls and Consequences, which is kind of a fun kind of two-parter. 2
very good episodes, 2 important episodes.
We're getting away from like the gingerbread and helpless episodes and even amends.
No more fillers. This is from now on it's just straight plot down to the very end.
And it's the last like quarter of the season. It's so much fun. It's really like the last half of the season.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so much fun. It's very plot driven, very character driven. I love it. So I can't wait to dive in on that.
Absolutely. So Jill, where can they find you online?
So you can find me on Twitter. I don't use it very often, but I'm at Jillian_Swan. Give me a reason to start using Twitter. Yes. I don't know. So yeah, and then I'm also occasionally over on Twitch at the Grasswalk UK channel. I'm usually either playing or just hanging out in the comments. So go on over and say hi and check out what games they're playing over there.
Absolutely. So you can find me on Twitter at TheFakeBMar. That's BMARR. The channel is on Twitter at WGEverything, on Instagram at WickedGetEverything, on Twitch at twitch.tv/WickedGetEverything, Byte and TikTok, WickedGetEverything, Facebook, WickedGetEverything. And yeah, we will see you guys in the next episode. Remember to subscribe so that we can drown out that other Wicked Good podcast. Our enemies.
You want to get that URL before they do.
That's exactly it. Oh, man. Hey, and we at least show our subscribers and have our comments enabled. No shade.
There you go.
But they don't.
Little bit of shade.
Little bit of shade. Well, I wanted to comment with our Wicked Good podcast channel, like, great name. But I couldn't.
You can't?
No.
Oh.
So.
All right. Well, guys, help this channel get to 100 subscribers so that we can get the URL before they do.
Exactly. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. The Sunnydale Review is a Wicked Good Everything production. The fan art of Buffy was created by Fishbone Art. The logo was created by Tamar Kutab. The original intro and outro song was created by Alex Carl.